don't know if you guys have ever heard of Adlan Amagov. He finished a number of guys. He was like a spinning back kick guy. And he me up, and then I think a round or two later, hit John with that spinning back kick.
Did he drop him?
He dropped him.
Oh!
Amagov is a scary, scary guy.
Of the opening round, there's that spin. Put on a showing.
Adlan Amagov walked away from the UFC at his peak, leaving hardcore fans with a heap of questions. The spectacular knockout wizard shined in Russian promotions, then looked stellar inside the octagon.
It's a racing fight team, but now it's bombs away.
And trying to work towards it. Wow!
But in 2013, he suddenly traded money and fame for the peace of home. Today, we look back at the run of the Chechen Wolf in MMA, a story that leaves no one indifferent.
For the takedown. Yeah, Amagov's scary. TJ's in trouble. He's in big trouble. Trying to finish it here. Big shots. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over.
Adlan got into martial arts at the age of 19. After witnessing a scuffle near his college, he realized that academic degrees alone wouldn't cut it on the streets. Two guys started fighting. They brawled like lions. I watched them. And the next day, I signed up at the gym. In just a couple of years, Amagov went from a rookie to Russian combat sambo champion. He didn't waste time transitioning to MMA, making his debut at 21 against a guy with over 30 pro bouts, none other than Alexei Oleinik. Boa Constrictor would go on to break into the UFC's heavyweight top 10 and secure the first ever Ezekiel choke inside the cage.
My God! To move himself into the mount position, but he got it!
The seasoned veteran easily dragged the fight to the mat. Adlan managed to reverse the position, but ended up in Oleinik's signature Ezekiel. Refusing to tap, the newcomer went unconscious in the crafty trap. They asked me if I wanted to fight in MMA. I said yes, having no clue who I'd be facing. And right before walking out, I hear them announce him. World champion in this, European champion in that. I turned around and asked the ring girl, "Is that my opponent?" Amagov returned a year and a half later in the major Russian organization Pro FC. Across from him stood Gaji Murad Antigulov, who would also eventually earn a spot in the UFC.
Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Worth noting, the Chechen fought at light heavyweight despite walking around at roughly 190 pounds. In the opening minute, Adlan got the kicks going. Threw hands off the back foot. Took the wrestler down. And roughed him up from top position. Back on the feet, he pulled the trigger. Unleashing a wicked overhand right on the button, Amagov offered the first glimpse of his potential. Just 3 months later, he would showcase his flair for flashy kicks. These hurricane spinning attacks would soon become the hallmark of his style. Years later, Mike Winklejohn, the renowned striking coach of John Jones, would praise Amagov.
Adlan Amagov, this kid's coming, he's great. I'll tell you what, everybody's going to fear this guy when they see how hard he can kick. He's going to be number one. My goal is to have him number one soon.
Under the nickname Boars, which translates to wolf in Chechen, the recent debutant began gaining momentum. The following year marked a turning point in his career. In 2010, he went undefeated across 5 outings. Amagov consistently fired off kick salvos. Out-wrestled his foes. Dominated on the ground. By his 10th outing, he systematically unsettled his opponent's defense with roundhouse kicks. Then launched an overhand. And with his newly sharpened offensive grappling, started stacking up finishes. The echo of his chasing high kick reached all the way to the US, and before long, Boers signed a deal with Strikeforce. For his last few fights in Russia, Adlan prepared with a prominent team that included Fedor's brother, Alexander Emelianenko. But his first camp in the States took place at K-Dojo, where he trained and learned English, side by side with a young Khabib Nurmagomedov, who at the time was just getting ready for his UFC debut.
Hello, Eagle. How are you?
No bad, you too. Adlan сегодня наблюдатель.
In July 2011, the Chechen Wolf learned that having lunch before weigh-ins is not necessary and dropped down to middleweight. He faced an experienced grappler, Ron Stallings. Early on, the American hoped to slow Adlan down with low kicks.
He needs to realize that right now and get this.
Definitely had a kick in that opening.
Amagov responded in kind.
The past.
Stallings is trying to close that
Kick to the lead leg and
Keeping the advancing adversary at range,
well, and he wasn't choked unconscious.
and now walks in right in
while unloading his patented kicks.
Strikeforce debuts, and there's a
Yeah, absolutely. He's
another
trying.
side kick there. Waypoint of the opening round. There's that spinning back.
Boers also held his own in the wrestling realm, scoring a couple of takedowns late.
And Stallings able to get back up. Nice.
After the break, Stallings managed to force a clinch,
Looking to tee off on his lead leg and now closing.
but the Sambo specialist countered with two Harai Goshis, or hip throws.
Amagov and Stallings, and again, that's 3 times in this fight, now feeding him.
However, this burst of activity and lack of experience came at a price.
Amagov keeping him at bay with all kinds of strikes here. Final 5 seconds, a flurry from Amagov, he ends up on his back. Stallings now with some ground and pound to end the round.
The fresher opponent took over.
An opportunity right now to make a big splash here in his Strikeforce debut. A series of knees now from
Plum. He landed some of those
and scoops him right up
Threatening with two different sub-attempts.
To save his arm.
from Stallings. Nice reversal here, looking for the backdoor escaping. But now his arm's still in there, but a nice escape.
Amagov survived purely on grit and never stopped throwing.
Wins are down that time.
Amagov again misses with the left hand as Stallings ducks, gets hit in the body. Final 5 seconds. These two are going to swing for the fences to close the fight.
When the dust settled, Boers had dominated most of the fight, but the mistakes and cardio issues nearly cost him the decision.
Adlan Amagov.
Having worked on his weak points, Adlan came back 4 months later against Anthony Smith. The American would go on to challenge for UFC gold and earn a reputation for his lethal ground game. But back in Strikeforce with a 15-7 record, Lionheart was considered a knockout artist. Amagov didn't plan to brawl and dumped Smith to the mat at the first opportunity.
Amagav's working his tail off to get that takedown.
He just whipped it. Forget
But when the ref did Anthony a solid and stood them back up, Adlan decided to take matters into his own hands.
of AMA Bomb Squad and the heads of Racing Fight Team, but now it's